Thank you for the introduction, and I'm happy to spend some time with you today. What I was hoping to go over today is give everyone an update in terms of what are some of the recent changes to your PEPR, and then also hopefully go over some of the different ways to go over and use some additional data, specifically your claims data, to go above and beyond what you will get from your PEPR report. And some of the things that you'll be able to see from your data is look at some of your operations, some of your compliance, and there's a couple of questions that we'll run through, and hopefully I'll be able to set the stage where you'll be able to answer those questions. And then finally go through and set up a scorecard or a dashboard, and then talk about what are some thoughts about setting up and calculating a reserve. Unfortunately, as the auditors continue to proliferate, we're really seeing this as one of the big areas that that hospitals need to take into consideration. And unfortunately, I'm not going to have a silver bullet for you, but I think we'll be able to talk about some of the strategies and at least some of the things that you would want to talk about. So let's talk about the PEPR. And the PEPR was created initially in 2003, and it's officially put out by Texas Medical Foundation on behalf of CMS. And what it's really designed to look at and target are the hot topic areas for audit and focus by the different contractors, whether that's the RAC, the MAC, the CERT, the ZPIC, whatever that is. So from a compliance perspective, it is a very, very good first step in terms to say, hey, how are we sitting? Where do we really sit with comparison to other hospitals? There's been some modifications to it over the years from 2003, and they currently have 30 evaluation categories that are split up into 9 DRG validation and coding, and then 21 medical necessity. And we'll talk about some of the ways to evaluate that going forward. As a quick overview on your PEPR compares your hospital to other hospitals across the country, other hospitals in your MAC jurisdiction, and other hospitals in your state. And for each one of the evaluation categories, which we'll go over relatively briefly, it's the targeted area that are being measured over a bigger group of related cases. And in case any of you have blank areas on your PEPR, the main reason for that is from a statistical perspective. If you have less than 11 targeted cases, so 11 in the numerator, then you are found. Then they show that up. They show that quarter to be blank on your PEPR, and that's basically for statistical reasons as well as from a HIPAA perspective. They wouldn't want someone to be able to triangulate and say, this is the one person that was our 2-day CHF patient. So it's for both of those reasons. It's 3 years worth of data, which is updated on a quarterly basis. And as we mentioned earlier, it is split up into DRG validation and then medical necessity. Probably more important than what the PEPR is what the PEPR is not. And it's very important. While you absolutely should review your PEPR, you need to be careful about inferences and extrapolations that you make from it. And the reason is the only thing that's included on your PEPR is Medicare fee-for-service inpatient data. So it doesn't include any outpatient. It doesn't include any observation. The one exception to that is cardiac stents. And cardiac stents is a ratio of your inpatient cases to your outpatient cases. And unfortunately, it's not a very useful metric in my opinion, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. You need to be very careful that it doesn't include Medicaid data, it doesn't include Medicare managed care or any of the Advantage plans, and it doesn't include any commercial data. So if you are quote-unquote high for your short-stay chest pain, for example, that doesn't mean that you're high across the board. If you have 20% of your cases in the hospital are Medicare fee-for-service, that means this represents 20% of your census. It doesn't represent all of it. So you need to make sure that you put the PEPR in the proper evaluation categories. It also doesn't compare hospital by size, by demographic or type of services, which sometimes is a big issue, sometimes not quite as big of an issue. And so the main take-home is you can really get a lot of information from the PEPR in terms of what are the areas that are at high risk for audit that you should take a look at, but it's important to make sure also what the PEPR is not. Relatively, a couple of updates. One of the most recent things that was added in about 3 to 6 months ago was what's called the National High Outlier Rank